The first morning she was gone, I sent a "Good morning. Hope you're having a great first day" text. She left 2 days earlier for a charity volunteer trip in Oregon. Said it was going to be life-changing and promised to keep in touch every day. My name's Ryan. I'm 37, living in Columbus, Ohio, and until then, I thought I was married to someone I could trust. That first text showed "read" under it in less than a minute. No reply. I figured maybe she was busy or in a spotty reception area. The next morning, I sent another one, same thing. "Read." No answer. By the fifth day, it was starting to feel like I was talking to a wall. My messages went from "How's everything going?" "Miss you" to "Everything okay?" "Haven't heard from you" to just "Morning." Nothing back. Just that little gray word under every text, like she was mocking me from hundreds of miles away. Weeks started sliding by. Her Instagram was full of smiling photos at charity events, but not a single tag or mention of me. Big group shots with strangers, close-ups of her holding donation checks. She looked happy, happier than she'd looked at home in months. I called her. Straight to voicemail. I called again 2 hours later. Same thing. After 3 weeks, I decided to go around her. She'd mentioned a trip organizer named Carol, so I found the charity's number online and asked for her. When Carol picked up, she sounded confused the second I said my wife's name. "Oh, she left early," she said. "Said she had to visit cousins in Arizona. Didn't she tell you?" My stomach dropped. I hung up before I said something I'd regret. That night, our joint bank statement came in the mail. I wasn't looking for trouble, but the charges punched me in the face. A luxury seafood place in Minnesota, a spa resort 2 towns over, and a payment to a high-end lakeside lodge, definitely not in Oregon, and nowhere near Arizona either. I spread the statements out on the kitchen table, scrolling through her social media again, lining up dates. She'd posted a charity brunch photo the same day the card got hit for a $400 dinner in Minneapolis. By the fourth week, I'd stopped sending her good mornings altogether. If she wanted silence, I could give her silence. The only thing left buzzing was the thought that wouldn't leave me alone. If she wasn't in Oregon and she wasn't in Arizona, then where the hell was she? I grabbed my phone, snapped photos of the statements, and shoved them into a manila folder. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady when I muttered to myself, "All right, let's find out." Then I picked up the phone to make my next call. The phone vibrated in my hand before I could dial. Unknown number. I answered. "Ryan." "Hey, this is Tom from Riverstone Analytics," he said. "My wife's boss. Sorry to bother you. Is she around? I need the final draft of the training manual." I kept my voice even. "She's in Oregon with a charity. She said she'd be online at night." Silence, then a baffled laugh. "Oregon. She took personal leave. Told HR it was a family emergency. We approved 1 week. That was last Monday." My grip tightened. "Family emergency where?" "That's the thing," he said, lowering his voice. "She wouldn't say. Just promised she'd hand off the manual." "Did she leave it at home?" "No," I said. "She didn't leave anything." He exhaled hard. "This is a mess. If you hear from her, tell her we need that manual by the end of day." "I'm serious." "Yeah," I said. "I'll pass it along." I hung up and stood in the kitchen with the phone buzzing in my palm like a bug I should crush. Family emergency to him. Charity trip to me. 2 stories, no overlap. That was the moment the doubts stopped being fog and turned into concrete. Betrayal has a sound. It's a click in your chest. I poured bourbon into a glass and didn't bother with ice. It burned, but I wanted the burn. I set the glass down and pulled the manila folder closer, spreading the bank printouts across the counter. I opened my laptop and started a new folder, Evidence. I snapped photos of every statement, saved PDFs, dragged screenshots from her social media into labeled subfolders. Dates matched up like puzzle pieces I didn't want to see fit. I wasn't going to guess anymore. I picked up the phone and called a number from a local referral site. "Brian Investigations," the voice said. "I need to hire you," I said. "My wife is lying about where she is. I have bank charges for a lakeside lodge and high-end restaurants in Minnesota. I want eyes on her. Tonight, if possible." "Name, physical description, and any known travel details?" he asked. I gave him everything. Full name, the charity cover story, the supposed cousins in Arizona, the Minnesota charges, the dates. He listened without interrupting. "All right," he said. "I'll start with the lodge. If she's there, I'll find her. You'll get photos and video. Text me your email." I texted him, then stood there in the quiet house and looked down the hallway. Our bedroom door was half open. I walked in and faced the framed wedding photo on the dresser. Her head was on my shoulder, and I remembered how light I felt that day. I lifted the frame, felt the weight of it, and set it face down in the drawer. The woman in that picture didn't exist anymore. I took the nail out of the wall above the headboard and dropped it into the trash. Back in the kitchen, I cleared a section of the table and made a simple list on a yellow pad. Charges, dates, contact attempts, lies. I wasn't going to argue feelings later. I wanted facts lined up like soldiers. My phone chimed with a text from Bryant. Working. We'll update. I barely slept. The house made those late-night sounds that always felt cozy before. Now they just felt like a stage after the actors left. In the morning, I added more to the list. I put a clean flash drive on the table and started copying the folder. I called my buddy Sean and kept it short. You good? He asked. Working on it, I said. I'll loop you in if I need help. Say the word, he said. I've got you. 2 days dragged. I went to work, kept my head down, and checked my phone every hour. No messages from her. Plenty from Bryant. Following lead. Confirming room assignments. Need more time. At night, I lined up the statements by date, drew arrows, made sticky notes. I wasn't spiraling. I was building. On the second evening, as the sun fell behind the maples out back, my phone finally rang. Bryant. I answered before the first buzz ended. Got her, he said. Lakeside Grand in northern Minnesota. She checked in under her name with a man in his 30s. Same day as your seafood charge. They're registered in the top suite. I felt a cold settle in my chest, clean and sharp. You're sure it's her? I sent photos to your email. Time-stamped. Them arriving at the lodge, them at dinner last night, them on the deck this morning. No doubt. Who's the guy? I asked. Working on an ID. He paid cash for a couple of meals, but the room is on your joint card. I'll have his info soon. Keep going, I said. I want everything. You'll have it, he said. Do you want video? Yes, I said. As much as you can get without getting thrown out. Copy that. Check your inbox. I hung up and opened my laptop. The emails were there. Thumbnails showed her hair, her laugh, the red dress she bought for whatever this was. I didn't click yet. I printed the lodge confirmation he attached and a shot of the check-in screen with her name. I grabbed a red pen, underlined the bold words, Top Suite, and slid the fresh prints into the manila folder. Then I walked to the door and flipped the deadbolt. I forwarded Bryant's email back to him with one line. Send me every single photo and video you have. His reply came in minutes, a shared folder link. I opened it, and the thumbnails alone made my stomach tighten. Her in a lounge chair with him leaning over, both laughing. Them walking into a boutique. Her hand on his back at a table with wine glasses. I clicked through in order. The lodge deck at sunrise. Her in a robe with his arm around her waist. A dinner where they clinked glasses like they were celebrating something. A kiss outside the lobby doors, full on the mouth, no hesitation. I stopped halfway, shut the laptop, and just sat there gripping the edge of the table. Then I opened it again. I wasn't going to flinch. I saved everything to the flash drive. On another tab, I pulled up our joint account. I filtered transactions 6 months back. There they were, charges I'd skimmed over before. Jewelry store, 2 nights at the Westwood Hotel downtown, private dining at a steakhouse we'd never been to together. I dug through the file box in the hall closet and found the last few paper receipts she'd left in bags. A thin white slip from a boutique in the city, over $400 for a necklace. Another from a hotel bar tab with only 2 drinks, not the 4 she used to order when we went out. The phone was in my hand before I realized I'd already dialed. Her cousin Amy picked up. Hey Ryan, she said. Everything okay? Quick question. Has she been in Arizona recently? Arizona. Amy laughed. No, we haven't seen her in, God, maybe 3 years. Why? She told me she came to see you, I said flatly. There was a pause, then, no, definitely not. What's going on? I'll fill you in later, I said. Thanks for confirming. I hung up and stared at the laptop. I knew her old personal email password. We'd used it to book vacations years ago. I tried it. It worked. Her inbox was full of confirmations. Flights for 2 from Columbus to Minneapolis. 2 nights at the Westwood. Dinner reservations under her name for party of 2. I scrolled back months. Same man's name on a couple of digital tickets, matching the photos from Bryant. She'd been careful with her phone, but sloppy with her email. One confirmation stopped me. A lingerie order dated 3 days before her charity trip. I clicked the item link. Black lace, not her usual style, something I'd definitely never seen. I printed the receipt and slid it into the folder with the others. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about knowing. I needed to move my money before she got back. I logged into the bank, opened a new account under my name only, and transferred half of our savings in 2 separate transactions. Clean, simple numbers that wouldn't trigger a hold. The confirmation emails popped in within seconds. I printed those too. Then I picked up the phone and called Bryant. Keep digging, I said. I don't care what it costs. I want everything. Every dinner, every hotel, every damn receipt. Dates, times, room numbers, menus, I don't care. I want to be able to map this thing inch by inch. You'll have it, he said. I've got enough for ID on the guy. Should have it to you by tomorrow. Good, I said. Don't stop until I tell you to. When I hung up, I stacked the papers, slid them into the folder, and pressed it flat with my palm. Every page made the picture sharper, and I wasn't anywhere close to done. I reached over, pushed the wedding photo deeper into the drawer, and shut it so hard the frame rattled. Then I turned back to the table, opened a new list, and wrote at the top in thick black marker, Next Moves. The phone buzzed while I was still adding to my next moves list. Landing tomorrow. Can you pick me up? I stared at it for a second, then typed back one word, sure. No punctuation. Sent. The next morning, I sat in a leather chair across from a divorce lawyer named Harris. He was mid-50s, gray hair, eyes like he'd seen every ugly thing a marriage could produce. I slid the manila folder across his desk. He flipped through the photos, receipts, and printouts without changing expression. You have more than enough, he said. Ohio recognizes fault-based divorce. Infidelity voids most claims for spousal support, especially with this level of documentation. The prenup has a forfeiture clause, correct? Correct, I said. Then she leaves with what she came in with, he said. We'll file as soon as you're ready. The timeline's in your control, but the sooner the better. This is a slam dunk. I'll let you know when to pull the trigger, I said. On the way home, I rehearsed my face in the rear view. No heat, no smile, just steady. I wasn't going to give her anything to read. At the airport the next day, I parked, walked in, and found her in the crowd. She lit up like I was a surprise gift, rushed over, and wrapped her arms around me. I gave her a quick hug, 2 seconds, no squeeze, and stepped back. You have no idea how crazy this trip was, she said, tugging her suitcase handle. Oh, I bet, I said, taking the bag. In the car, she launched into a performance. We had these seminars on grant writing, plus on-site work with donors. I barely slept. And this one gala. We raised over $100 grand in one night. You would have loved it. Oh, and Carol said. I cut in. Carol? The trip organizer? Yeah, she said quickly. She's amazing. We should have her over sometime. Maybe, I said, eyes on the road. She kept going, stacking detail on detail like she was building a wall. I let her talk, tossing in an occasional huh or sounds busy. My grip on the steering wheel didn't change. When we pulled into the driveway, she popped the trunk and grabbed a small bag. Got you something? She said with a grin. Inside, she handed me a slim black box. I opened it. An expensive Mont Blanc pen, the kind I'd never buy for myself. Thought you could use it for work, she said. You're always writing notes. Nice, I said. Thanks. I already knew it was paid for with joint funds. The charge was on last week's statement. She moved in close, brushing her hand along my arm. It's been a long couple weeks, she murmured. I missed you. I stepped back, letting her hand fall. You must be tired. Big trip. Her smile froze for a beat. Not too tired, she said lightly. I'm wiped, I said. Think I'll just crash early. I set the pin box on the counter and walked toward the bedroom. You're going to bed now? She called after me. Yeah, I said over my shoulder. Long day. I shut the bedroom door, leaving her standing in the kitchen. The pen sat where I left it, untouched. In the quiet, I could hear her moving around the living room, her phone buzzing twice in quick succession. I lay down fully dressed, staring at the ceiling. Playing along wasn't hard. It was just a matter of making sure she thought the game was hers to control. But the Real board was mine. By mid-morning, I was back in Harris's office, the manila folder thicker than last time. Let's lock it in, I told him. He slid fresh paperwork across the desk. Sign here and here. I'll prep the filing and hold it until you give the word. Once served, she's got 30 days to respond. I signed, each stroke neat, deliberate. On the way home, I stopped at the bank, pulled out my safe deposit key, and moved every important document, deed copies, tax returns, insurance policies, into the box. At the house, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and changed every password. Email, bank, utilities, streaming services, even the damn grocery delivery app. If she wanted to burn bridges, I'd take away the matches. Bryant called in the afternoon. You still want me tailing her? Absolutely, I said. Everywhere she goes until I say stop. Focus on nights and weekends. Got it, he said. When she came in from running errands, she was all smiles. I was thinking, we should do a backyard barbecue this weekend. Invite friends, family. I feel like we've barely seen anyone lately. I kept my face flat. Yeah, that's a great idea. Her eyes lit up. Really? I figured you'd say it's too much work. We can handle it, I said. In my head, I could already see the perfect stage taking shape. That night we sat at the table making a guest list. She rattled off names from both sides of the family, our old college friends, a couple neighbors. I added Sean and his wife without looking up. The next day we hit the grocery store together. She loaded the cart with ribs, burger patties, potato salad, and enough beer to stock a bar. I tossed in paper plates and charcoal. At the register, she tapped the joint card without hesitation. Back home, we started cleaning. She vacuumed the living room while I hosed down the patio furniture. We scrubbed the grill together, her chatting about menu ideas like we were the picture of teamwork. Around 3, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, then grabbed it and walked straight to the bedroom. Work call, she tossed over her shoulder. I kept wiping down the counter, watching her reflection disappear into the hall mirror. The door clicked shut. I checked my watch. 8 minutes before she came back out, smiling like nothing happened. Sorry, client issue. All good now. Good, I said. Later, she showed me a new dress she'd picked up for the party. Navy blue, fitted, a little flashier than her usual barbecue style. I kept my expression neutral, but I'd already seen it, clear as day, in one of Bryant's photos. She was in that exact dress, hanging on the arm of her lodge companion while they walked out of a boutique in Minnesota. She hung it carefully on the closet door like it was some special occasion piece. Think it'll work for Saturday? She asked. Yeah, I said. Looks fine. She beamed, then went back to the kitchen to marinate chicken. I lingered in the doorway, taking in the scene. She thought she was setting the mood for a perfect summer gathering. What she didn't know was that every step she took towards Saturday was one step closer to the edge of the cliff. I picked up my phone and sent Brian a text. Make sure you're free this weekend. I might need same-day delivery. Then I rolled the trash bin to the curb, the sound of the wheels rattling on the driveway louder than it needed to be. Saturday came in hot and bright. By late afternoon, the yard was full of folding chairs, 2 tables under a pop-up canopy, and the smell of ribs drifting over the fence. The cooler was loaded, the grill was going, and one by one, the guests started showing up, faces I'd seen smiling in our wedding photos years ago. She played hostess like it was second nature. Hugs, big laughs, making rounds with the drink pitcher. Every time someone asked about her volunteer trip, she had a polished story ready. Long days, heartfelt moments with donors, touching scenes with the community we were serving. At one point, she pulled my aunt aside and described a gala night, with a standing ovation for her work. My aunt nodded, impressed. I just kept flipping burgers, letting her dig the hole. We all sat for the first course, coleslaw, baked beans, and a big fruit platter. Halfway through, her phone buzzed on the table. She picked it up, glanced at the screen, and stood. Work call, she said, sliding her chair back. Sean caught my eye, then followed her inside. I stayed put, passing a basket of rolls to his wife, keeping the conversation light with the rest of the table. 10 minutes later, Sean slipped back out, phone in hand, and gave me the smallest nod. We moved to the main dinner, platters of ribs, chicken, burgers, and grilled corn. She came back smiling, phone tucked away, and launched into another round of trip stories. She told one about team-building exercises and project presentations in Oregon, selling it so well half the table looked like they wanted to sign up for the next one. Then, while everyone was laughing at some detail about her roommate from the charity, she leaned back and said, You know, At the end of the day, communication is everything in a marriage. I set down my fork. Actually, I've got something important to share about that. She turned toward me, still smiling, though a little tighter. Oh, yeah. I stood, wiping my hands on a napkin. I put together a little presentation on trust. Thought this would be the perfect audience. The table quieted, curious. She gave a light laugh. Ryan, come on, we're eating. It won't take long, I said. I walked to the side table near the back door, picked up a thick envelope, and came back to the head of the table. My hands didn't shake, my voice didn't waver. I think it's worth everyone hearing this. She shifted in her chair. Can't this wait until later? No, I said. This is exactly the right time. I set the envelope on the table in front of me, letting my fingers rest on it. The paper was heavy, almost warm from being in my grip all afternoon. Trust, I said, isn't just a word. It's something you can see, touch, and, when it's gone, it's something you can measure in receipts, photos, and timestamps. A few people glanced at each other. Her smile had vanished completely now. This, I said, tapping the envelope, is my trust presentation. Her eyes darted to the envelope as I picked it up. Ryan, seriously, not now. I talked right over her. Everyone, we're going inside for a quick demonstration. I didn't ask. I turned and walked toward the living room. Chairs scraped behind me as people followed. She caught up fast, whispering hard. Stop. We can talk about whatever this is later. Later's over, I said, stepping past her to grab the TV remote. The first photo filled the screen, her at the front desk of the Lakeside Grand in Minnesota, hand on the arm of a man in his 30s. The date and timestamp sat in the corner. Gasps rippled through the room. Click. The next shot, outdoor seating at a white tablecloth restaurant, wine glasses raised between them. Click. A close-up of them kissing on a sunlit dock. She stepped forward, voice shaking. These are fake. You think anyone's going to believe? Sean spoke up from the doorway. I recorded your little work call 10 minutes ago. Want me to play it? He tapped his phone. Her voice came out loud and clear. I can't wait to see you again. No, he has no idea. She lunged toward him, but he stepped back. I held up a stack of papers. Credit card statements, I said, flipping them so the group could see the highlighted charges. Seafood in Minneapolis. Spa services. Lakeside Grand Top Suite. I dropped them on the coffee table with a slap. Another stack. Hotel receipts in our own city. Jewelry store invoices. Private dining for two. Those joined the pile. She folded her arms. You went through my accounts? My emails? That's illegal. No. I cut in, my voice flat. It's marital property. And you're not turning this into some privacy lecture to dodge what you did. The room stayed silent except for the shuffle of feet. Her cousin Amy finally spoke, frowning at the dock photo. That lodge, yeah, I've been there. We went 2 summers ago. It's definitely Minnesota. She glared at Amy. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I know exactly, Amy said. I turned back to the group. For anyone wondering if this is just a bad misunderstanding, no? This is documented. Photos. Receipts. Recorded calls. 6 months of her stepping out while lying to everyone here. She shook her head hard. You're humiliating me in front of family. You humiliated yourself, I said. All I'm doing is making sure no one else falls for the act. Her eyes flashed. You think this is going to hold up in court? I know it will, I said. The prenup's voided because of the infidelity clause. My lawyer has everything. I'm filing for divorce this week. For a moment, the only sound was the low hum of the fridge in the kitchen. Then chairs scraped again as people started shifting toward the door. No one met her eyes. I clicked off the TV, gathered the papers into the envelope, and tucked it under my arm. Show's over, I said. Drinks are still outside if anyone wants them. She stood frozen, jaw tight, as the first guest slipped past her without a word. As the last couple of chairs scraped over the deck, she finally moved, catching my arm. Ryan, wait, please. We can fix this. Counseling, therapy, whatever it takes. I pulled my arm free. This has been over for months. You just didn't know it. Her eyes darted to the yard where people were leaving in tight clusters, talking low. You blindsided me in front of everyone we care about. Do you get how cruel that was? You think tonight was cruel? I stepped closer, keeping my voice low but sharp. I sent the exact same package to your boyfriend's wife. She got it before dinner started. The color drained from her face. You didn't. I did, I said. So if you're hoping to run there next, don't bother. He's got his own mess to clean up now. She opened her mouth, then shut it. The backyard was nearly empty, just Sean and his wife stacking paper plates, pretending not to hear us. When the last guest slipped out the side gate, she turned on me again. You wanted to humiliate me. No, I said, heading toward the kitchen. I wanted the truth in the open. You did the rest yourself. She followed me inside. We've been together 3 years. Doesn't that mean anything to you? I set the envelope on the counter, turned, and met her stare. It used to. Then you traded it for lakeside suites and dinner reservations under fake names. Her voice cracked. I'm not ready to give up. You gave up when you started lying, I said. She flinched, then tried a softer tone. Just one more chance. I'll delete his number. We can rebuild. I shook my head. The guest room's made up. You can stay there tonight. Tomorrow you start packing. Her face twisted. You can't just throw me out. I can't, I said. And I am. For a long moment, she just stood there, chest rising and falling fast. Then she turned, walked down the hall, and shut the guest room door harder than she needed to. I stayed in the kitchen, listening to the house settle. The faint hum of the fridge. The click of the HVAC kicking on. No laughter, no background music. Just the kind of silence that feels earned. I poured a glass of water, took one sip, and set it down untouched. Then I looked toward the hallway, knowing exactly what I was going to say before I moved. You already erased our 3 years, I said loud enough for her to hear. Then I turned off the kitchen light. 6 months later, the papers were signed, stamped, and done. Her lawyers had pushed for drawn-out negotiations at first, but Harris shut that down in 2 meetings. Once they saw the stack of evidence we had ready for trial, they advised her to settle fast. She still tried, though. First it was late-night emails about how much she missed me, how we could still fix things. Then came the threats, claims she'd tell people I was abusive, that she'd take me for everything. I replied once, short and clean. If you keep going, every photo, every receipt, every recording goes public. After that, the silence was perfect. I started tearing the house apart. Not in anger, in renovation. Painted every room a different color. Ripped up the carpet in the hall and put in hardwood. Sold the old couch and bought one that didn't have her choice written all over it. Every change felt like reclaiming square footage in my own life. I stopped avoiding people. Sean and I started hitting the gym together twice a week. Amy came by with her kids. We grilled burgers and didn't mention her cousin once. I grabbed coffee with coworkers I'd ignored for years. Work was better too. Without the constant background stress, I was sharper. Took on more projects, landed a big client, and got a raise before the end of the quarter. Harris joked that divorce had been my best business move. By spring, I realized I wasn't carrying her in my head anymore. The mental noise was gone. I could wake up without scanning my phone for a crisis. I could go to bed without wondering what lie was waiting for me in the morning. Then Sean called one Friday. Big night tomorrow, Megan's birthday. She booked LaSalle's downtown. You're coming. I almost said no out of habit, but caught myself. Yeah, I'll be there. The next night, I walked into LaSalle's in a dark blazer, the smell of grilled steak and wine hitting me all at once. The table was already full. Sean, Megan, a couple of our college friends, and a few new faces. Look who finally showed up. Megan called, waving me over. The evening rolled fast. Good food, better drinks, loud laughter that made the waitstaff glance over, but not in a bad way. I told a couple of old college stories that had the table doubled over. Someone ordered a round of espresso martinis, just to keep things dangerous. At one point, I leaned back in my chair, taking in the sound of people talking over each other, clinking glasses, passing plates. My life had air in it again. By the time dessert hit the table, a massive chocolate cake with candles for Megan, I realized I hadn't thought about my ex once all night. Not her face, not her voice, not the lies. And that, more than the cake or the laughter or the wine, tasted like freedom. I was at a Sunday brunch spot with a couple friends, waiting for my girlfriend to come back from the counter with our coffees, when the bell over the door jingled. She walked in with her sister. Same hair, but everything else looked smaller, shoulders hunched, eyes scanning the room like she wasn't sure she belonged there. Her gaze landed on me. She hesitated, then started walking over. Ryan, she said softly, can we talk for a minute? I leaned back in my chair. 1 minute. Go. She glanced at her sister, who drifted toward an empty table. I've been in therapy, she said quickly. A lot of therapy. I know I hurt you. I miss what we had. I let her talk. I didn't appreciate you the way I should have. I was stupid. I see that now. We can take it slow, start over, maybe just as friends at first. When she finally stopped, I said, we never had the same commitment. That's why we're standing here now. Her mouth tightened. So there's never a possibility? Not even someday. No, I said. Your minute's up. She blinked like she hadn't expected me to hold to it. I've learned a lot since you left, I said. About respect, about priorities, and about how some lines, once crossed, don't get uncrossed. There's no going back. My girlfriend walked up just then, 2 coffees in hand. I took one, then turned back to my ex. This is Claire. Claire gave her a polite nod. My ex's eyes flicked between us, her face closing off. I stood, slid my arm around Claire's waist, and walked toward the door without looking back. Some people deserve closure. Others earn permanent, unread status. She'd already gotten her answer.